Welcome back to Gatekeeper Media's chase card coverage of the 2023 Portland Open presented by Latitude 64. We've played 2 rounds on the West Course at Glendoveer Golf and Tennis, and we are moving over to the East Course for round 3 and 4. I'm Andrew Fish, joined here by Nathan Queen.
Here we are over on the East Course, and it feels a bit more attackable to me. There's also a bit more trouble that comes along with that attackability, though, so looking forward to see how these players do it.
We see Alden Harris and Carter Ahrens at 13 under, tied for 5th. Drew Gibson and James Proctor at 11 under, tied for 7th. And this is still a pretty packed up field. Not a ton of scoring separation in those first 2 rounds. And I think more of the same. Like, everybody is still in this ball game halfway home. Alden Harris, sponsored by Prodigy. He will be putting with the PA3 in 300 plastic, and a variety of drivers out there. Imagine we'll see some D2s, D1s, and Falcors.
And Carter Ahrens back on the card again, putting with the classic agent. Still got those gatekeepers in the bag. Might see some honors for the fairway drivers out here. Still going to see those defenders and enforcers for those long distance shots.
Drew Gibson, more or less an open bag. He is sponsored by EV7. We'll be putting with the Penrose. And Eagles, Roadrunners, Destroyers, and Bosses for the majority of his drives, I think.
And James Proctor putting with the Glow P-Blend alpacas. Might see some of the berries or a wasp out there for the overstable mid-range shots. Gonna see some Centurion for the flippy fairways and a lot of Destroyers. Moving into hole 1, 670-foot par 4. You've got about 340 feet to clear that green to get to that tree, but about 390 to clear this hazard bunker. Once you've cleared that bunker, you still have a pretty treacherous approach shot that if you get long, it's very easy to roll OB.
Out of Woodstock, Georgia. He wouldn't be here without the love of his mother, Andrea. Let's give it up for the 2022 Mid-America Open champion, sponsored by Prodigy Disc, Alden Harris.
Great introductions all day at the Portland Open and all weekend, I suppose. Alden Harris, backhand specialist, very good at spinning the disc, and took Cascade Challenge off last week to rehab a knee injury. Seems to be playing at full strength, having made it to the Gatekeeper chase card after 2 rounds.
Yes, and I'm quite surprised by the roller here. I don't think I've seen that play too often. Difficult to avoid that bunker on the roller, and he does end up curling around to find it.
Sponsored by Dynamic Discs, representing Emerald City Discs, your 2022 Kayak Point Open champion out of Gig Harbor, Washington. Put your hands together for Carter Ahrens.
We saw Carter yesterday, able to hang around on this chase card. He was 10th in the field from tee to green in round 2. That is pretty clearly the strength of his game, and this open golf course setup suits him nicely.
Yeah, and he's got a huge arm as he's showcasing right here. Gets a big turnover. Does hold over enough to stay in bounds. Great angle from there.
Your next competitor, out of Santan Valley, Arizona, sponsored by Infinite Discs and Finish Line Disc Golf, your 2019 Portland Open champion. Give it up for Drew Gibson!
Gibson choosing his shirt to match his disc, or the other way around, not quite sure.
Yeah, he missed one of the colors, though, but pretty close.
And special shout out to him. He eagled hole 18. We called it out yesterday, and that's what jumped him onto this card.
Looks like he may be dipping down to a mid-range here, and wow.
Next on the box, your 2022 Lundby Park and Open champion, sponsored by Thought Space Athletics, Infinite and Class Discs. Out of Rohnert Park, California, James Proctor.
And Proctor's been spraying the disc a little bit off the tee, but his putting has kept him in the ball game. He led the field by a full stroke based on UDisc's putting strokes gained stat in round 2.
He got his pocket out. Is that baseball reference there?
I know he likes baseball.
Yeah.
Dodgers guy. I don't know if he's doing that specifically or just wants to look swaggy. And the best position in the group, at least by distance.
He has Drew. Pretty unfortunate event there. Hit the flagpole.
Yeah, one big metal tree in the fairway, and he found it.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I think he may have just been playing to the other side of the ball golf green with that mid-range that was in his hand and where it came out.
That drop zone is not favorable. Really no chance to get up and down for par. So Drew taking the responsible layup. We'll have a putter into the green. Harris, this is going to play about 360 or so. I think this is a mid-range, possibly a fairway, but going to come up short.
And that is a very scary putt. First putt of the day is an elevated basket, and directly behind it, it drops off as far as it's elevated.
Yeah, absolutely. Carter Ahrens with this shot skittering to the left, but does stay on the flat. Since we're utilizing some golf tees, there's a kind of a stepped nature of the approach in. Proctor scoots down to that low side, but will be inside the circle.
Yeah, there is some OB down there on the left. I'm sure he was looking to turn that over just a bit more. Drew needs this forehand to get really close so he can have a nice tap-in bogey already, but he's going to have to putt back uphill from just outside the circle now for a bogey. What a putt.
Able to convert. Certainly not the only one on the day taking bogeys on hole 1.
I got one.
I tried.
Along with 39% of the field with a bogey or above, did play as the hardest hole on the course today. Alden Harris sitting here just inside the circle trying to connect for par.
And does that successfully. Alden, kind of a unique putting stroke compared to many of the players on the tour. It's a lot of late action with his wrist. And as I called out, Proctor knocking down the putt. That gets him a 3 and into solo 7th place now.
Yeah, first birdie of the day. Looks like Carter's going to have a chance here on hole 1 to do that as well.
And the East course was played in pretty much perfect scoring conditions, but a difficult course to score on. The wind up a touch today and kind of variable in direction and intensity. But this West course, you're probably looking at maybe 2 strokes easier.
Yeah, I believe that sounds about right.
Hole 2, 390 feet, playing downhill. There's an OB line left with this cart path, and then a hazard bunker to the right and short of the green. Pretty difficult to access. I think players who are going to try will be taking a forehand with an inside route of this first tree.
And yeah, although this looked like it should make the corner fairly well, you really needed to push out straighter than that to be able to carry the distance on this hole. Typically, you think you would see some righty backhand rollers here, but with the OB being so close on the left or long side of this hole, there really doesn't leave a whole lot of room for error if you're trying to get that roller down.
You may see that here out of Alden Harris, taking the inside line, something very flippy, and it's going to burn out early. Oh, I
my.
take it back. He got the full distance, but that will curl down the hill into circle 2. At its perigee, was basically parked.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming. That looked well inside to me. I thought he would be running into those trees early, but he knows his disc better than we do.
And Gibson playing the outside route with a backhand turnover. This is great angle control, but going to come up short.
Very difficult to actually reach the pin with that. Still an incredible shot with where he got to going out and around that tree.
Proctor scramble opportunity from the right side. Had a clean line to the basket, nearly dunked it.
Yeah, it looks like Carter's ended up over on the right side of those trees as well. And may have a bit of a hyzer look here.
Kind of difficult to generate the full power when you're that straddled out. Makes a credible bid. And from circle 2, Drew Gibson wants to run it down, but going to come up just short.
Yeah, I have to imagine that would have been one of the few, if any, righty backhand birdies on this hole. Just to see him in circle 2 is pretty nice. Alden's going to want that one back after a nice roller. Still ended up right around circle's edge. Not too many birdies on this hole today, though. 18% of the field able to get the birdie. 31% taking bogey or above, so made this hole average as the 3rd hardest on the day.
Yeah, I'm not real surprised by that. It even as downhill as it is and under 400 feet, kind of a challenging angle to access cleanly without introducing the risk of the left side or the right side bunker.
That moves us into hole 3, 370-foot par 3, where you've got a good bit of options once you get to this area of the fairway. You've got a straight shot at it, you've got a flex you can go off to the right side, or you've got a flex you can go off to the left side. There is an early Mando to prevent the big righty spike hyzer, and that's not what you want, just a little bit of grip lock there.
Proctor playing the hyzer flip, and will scoot through, get a great anti-skip, and to the bullseye. Let's watch that again from the catch cam.
Oh, and I love these anti-skip shots. He's throwing a disc that's flippy enough that although it's on a hyzer, once it hits the ground, it still goes back to its natural characteristics and goes off to the right side. Beautiful shot there from James.
Alden really good at this kind of forced over angle with a neutral disc so that it's acting overstable. Does come up short. We'll be putting from maybe circle 2's edge. And Drew Gibson.
His disc no longer matches.
Plenty of power here.
Oh, this looks great. Oh, my. It was a great line, and plenty of too much power there.
Yeah, not something that most players are going to have to worry about, throwing a smoothie shot uphill, through a gap, low ceiling.
Yeah, and look at this shot from Carter. What a recovery shot. Does push to almost circle's edge long, but going to have a good opportunity for par after a bit of a shank on the tee.
Yeah, and that's absolutely critical on these par 3s. There are a couple ways to get in trouble off the tee, usually dropping down short, which can leave you with weird angles into greens. So if Carter's able to convert, that will bode well for the rest of his round.
I feel you, Drew. Bit of a same as the last hole, just a bit low on the cage. As Carter able to clean up a very nice par, keeping himself 1 under for the round.
Finally get to James Proctor's lie. Not quite parked, but effectively close enough.
And gets himself another birdie. This one didn't take too many bogeys or necessarily birdies on the day either. 8% bogey or above, only 22% birdie.
And Harris makes good from 15 feet or so for his par. Drew going to knock in a par for himself.
Yeah, the late gaps there just make it a bit difficult to access the green.
Hole 4, 450 feet, a par 3 playing slightly uphill and probably into a headwind. You can go straight up the middle as the drone is doing. There's a wide right side hyzer. I am guessing we are going to see 4 big backhand turnovers down the left side, testing the out of bounds. And I think the headwind kind of fools you into thinking you can throw something stable and let it turn, but I think the player has to ensure that they're getting the turn on the disc at this distance.
Yeah, and James making sure he gets the turn on it, almost gets too much. Does cut roll and turns around into a nice little upshot for par.
There's a pretty favorable gap in between the last 2 trees. If you can push it out there and then have your disc braking right, this is going to fade out a little bit, but should have plenty of distance if it gets clean. Doesn't quite get clean, so likely a little jump putt approach for Carter Ahrens coming.
We've seen Alden throw a couple rollers already. It looks like he's going to break one out here. Just turns before those OB stakes, which is going to put him a little early of the pin. Uh-oh. And he's caught that hazard over on the right side again, curling backwards into a hazard already, twice in the round.
Yeah, I definitely understand the appeal of the roller, but I think the wind can be a little unpredictable once you get it on the ground. Drew kind of following the same thing, but comes up short of that hazard bunker.
Yeah, I do believe roller is a good play if you don't have that strong headwind or a little bit of left or right that could be in that today as well.
Yeah, once those discs got caught, there was no holding them on their angle.
James with a nice roll there once it hit the ground. I'm sure he wanted that to be a bit farther in the first place, but does get around that tree. That one definitely large enough that if you are centered behind it, you're not going to make your putt.
And the root system pretty grabby as well. Alden Harris going to sky the basket. And we'll have to do some work on his comebacker. Carter actually got a little closer than I anticipated. We'll have a crosswind from the left to the right, dropping his putt.
Surprisingly, there were 20 birdies on this hole today.
None of them from our chase card, alas.
Yeah, none of them looked close to have a look or to show why that there were 20 birdies on this hole today.
A lot of open space. I think it's pretty forgiving as long as you turn your shot over and don't find the out of bounds. Gibson stabs his putt in. And a couple easy cleanups coming. Nathan, I did notice something while I was looking at some stats. The East course that, the West course that we played the first couple days had the lowest park percentage of any course we've seen on tour yet this year. This East course playing a touch easier to park holes, but still in the vicinity of the others on tour.
Yeah, I imagine within these first 5 holes, we may have caught up to the park jobs on the last course. Once you move from hole 4 into hole 5, it's probably your favorite tee shot of the day. 910-foot par 4. You've got some bunkers that are about 570 feet down there. I know that very well because somehow I threw 600 feet for the first time ever today and found a bunker.
Proctor goes full hyzer and down to the left. That opens up the angle considerably to access the green, but it's going to make his upshot pretty long because he didn't test the bunkers. Ahrens, hyzer release, flattens up for a little bit, and this is going to follow James over there, but I believe it'll be left of the leftmost bunker. I take it back.
Oh, he ends up getting kind of a straight skip and falls into that bunker. You can end up with a bit of strange footing in there as well. Gonna be maybe in that 380 or so range to the pin from there.
Gibson also running it down there. And this hole playing into a headwind. I think everybody's just going overstable to ensure they don't do anything crazy. As this drifts for Harris, he has enough power to put it in the bunker also. And skirts the front side of it.
I think he carried the first one and it's gone in between those 3 bunkers. So he's going to be almost, I think, inside 300 feet for his approach shot there.
Proctor going to overturn this a little bit, but there is plenty of space on the right side as you approach hole 6's tee.
Yeah, that is the mistake to make with as much power that he had on that. If it was online, that was going to be OB long.
Gibson going mid from close to 400 feet. Wind helping drag the disc to the right, and he is going to come up inbounds inside the circle. Very nicely done.
Yeah, that's the putt you want here. It's going to be pretty short if you've cleared that OB.
This is definitely my favorite 2-shot hole on the property. Ahrens drifting to the right. Spotter able to give him the green flag early as he has plenty of open space. Wind has picked up a little bit for Alden Harris. He's going to take a right side hyzer.
And interesting to see him do that there. It would have been a bit of a turnover, and I suppose after watching 2 turnovers drift pretty far off to the right, he thought it would be better to attack that way. It does put him right around circle's edge, I believe.
This is just take a layup, drop in your 4, and move on.
Oh boy.
Little squirreliness on the ground for Carter Ahrens. Alden putting into a headwind, a little bit uphill. And in momentarily.
And James, after a bit of a botched third shot there to have a much longer, testier putt than you'd like for par, still able to connect. And Drew now gonna try to get his first birdie of the round.
And does so successfully.
And this hole averaged exactly par today. 25% bogey, 25% birdie.
I'm genuinely surprised by that. The first 500 feet are easy, but everything after that is pretty treacherous.
Right. I'm a bit surprised also. I imagined it would be over par, as we have our chase card here average it just a bit over par.
Hole 6, 415 feet is a par 3. It is a double mando. Those aren't super intrusive. We'll either see backhand flex shots thrown up the right side, or perhaps some backhand rollers. Nathan, I think there also is a left-hand flex shot to go wide around the left side.
There is. Difficult to know whether you're going to get a skip or not, but that's a common theme out here. As Drew able to get a little sneaky through an inside gap. Going to come up just a little short inside circle 2.
Proctor playing a flat shot, counting on the wind to help him with the finish, and tags the last tree that he would have needed to beat. I liked the way that was tracking. Alden, you see the angle he's setting up. He's trying to swing something to the right side and then get a crazy left finish.
Way too much left to right wind right here for that to work right now. I believe that's what happened with James' shot as well. Even though he had it flat, the wind was still catching the top of his disc and just pushing it down. So with that big Anheuser angle, that's what happened with Alden, just immediately packing it down to the right. Carter going with something stable enough there to fight back. Well done.
Yeah, good flat release, gave it the width, didn't try to mess around with multiple angles. Alden with just a layup, take a low stress par. You know Proctor's going to take a look at this shot.
Oh, and so close to another one of those Gatekeeper rewinds we saw yesterday.
Yeah, tell you what, he's really got it measured from distance right now.
Carter.
I'm surprised at how short that came up.
Yeah, just matching James, unfortunately, on that one. It started a lot higher out of his hand.
Mm-hmm. And a little sloppy from Drew Gibson, maybe impeded by the tree or the footing at the roots.
This is another one of those holes. Not many birdies, not many bogeys. 75% of the field taking a par on it. Just kind of difficult to access. You can get most of the way and then have a weird 60-footer.
This
is
the new
up to ice orbit. Look
at this
very nice thing.
tingling.
I just think the plastic is very premium. It's a high quality material. The way the disc feels in my hand.
I think it's the quality of plastic.
It's unlike any other plastic that you'll find in the industry.
The quality is better than any other company out there.
Again, just consistent plastic. It's something I can consistently trust on every single throw.
There's so many discs to choose from, and I guarantee if you tried every disc in the lineup, you're gonna wanna put multiple discs in your bag.
It's extremely high quality. You can only say so much that they have to eventually just try it themselves and see.
Hole 7, a 680-foot par 4, Mando on the right. That you'd like to get up to the top of this hill, but some low branches and how steep that is makes it pretty difficult to do. Once you get up to the top of the hill, you're still going to have 370 feet to access the pin.
Righty power shots are going to be backhands. May see a roller out of Alden if he's feeling squirrely. Something cutty to run to the left. Proctor protecting the hyzer to keep it inside of the mandatory and low of the branches.
Yeah, that's what you're going to see a lot of on this hole. Very difficult to get any type of rise on this shot because of the low branches you saw Drew hit.
And Alden starts it right enough. He's going to get his distance up towards the crest of the hill. Might not even be able to see the basket from that location, but will have a wide open hyzer to swing in. Hole 10 yesterday was kind of similar in the effect of the hole. Ahrens went cut roller there and it didn't quite work out for him. Today opts to go hyzer on this hole 7.
And Drew, after hitting those branches, I believe hit the Mando tree. Looks like he traveled backwards off of that, giving him a little bit of room to work. And pretty good roller shot there.
Yeah,
Oh,
amazing
really
scramble
good roller
recovery.
shot.
kind of throws across the fairway, turning this from 680 into 860, but very effective. Proctor has to swing it very wide to avoid low branches, and going to get himself a circle 2 look.
Yeah, very well done from where he's at. I believe that right to left that they had on 6 is aided in him getting that far back to the left, going that wide. Alden not having to go around things, should be able to skip back over there pretty well, and does so. He's up inside the circle.
Yeah, absolutely the scoring opportunities. You don't have to be super precise at where you land off this tee. So much of this is made about upshots.
And I can't imagine going that high that was a play for birdie.
He's inside of James, which means he's inside circle 2.
Man. The kid throws far as James still on line from distance.
Maybe not quite inside.
Yeah, I think James was probably just ready already.
Yeah. He usually is. Doesn't take much time. Carter with a little effort to put it in will be putting for his 4. And Drew just doesn't seem to be in sync with his upper and lower body. He's come up short several times. Alden with the knockdown.
Yeah, fired that one on in. Not much upper or not much lower body needed there. That one's just kind of a snap of the wrist.
Mm-hmm. And even though these guys are hanging out at even or so for their rounds, notice that they're tied for 3rd at 13 down right now. The lead card not making a charge that much on early on this moving day.
Yeah, lots of trouble, like we were talking about earlier. And as we've seen so far, there's lots of trouble that you can get into while trying to attack, plus the thought of win today. Haven't really had to think about it for the last couple days. All of a sudden it's there. A few new discs that's in your hand can get a little squirrely.
Hole 8, downhill par 4 at 615 feet. A mandatory forces you to the left, and this fairway bounded by out of bounds on both sides. I would be surprised if we don't see 4 backhands with something a little bit of stability, and eagle is definitely in play if you can avoid some branches. Harris back to the overstable driver. This is pushing towards the middle, misrelease a little too early, but drops down safe. And he'll have something in the mid-3s.
Yeah, not quite what you're looking for. Looks like Drew is going to go big. We saw him go long with this disc earlier, I believe on hole 3, but going to overturn it and miss the gap. Not in a great position to get up and down from there. Still possible, but not quite what you're looking for. This is a good line out of James.
And cut down in its prime. Still makes some good forward progress. And Carter, this is too high, but tracking nicely. Also gets knocked down. I think it's a shame that James threw by far the best shot in the group and isn't going to be rewarded with a materially better lie. Gibson swings a hyzer out to the right and gets the full distance. He'll come up into circle 2. We'll have a chance at his birdie.
Yeah, and as you can really see from Drew's shot there, this is going to be the easiest hole on the course, as you don't have to get too much off of the tee to be able to attack your second shot.
Yeah, ton of open space, especially for these very proficient right-handed backhand drives. Ahrens just going pure stability out to the right from inside 300 feet and a little short. That's kind of a mistake. Proctor to the putter, straight shot. And to about 20 feet or so.
Yeah, well done. Drew for a much longer birdie look than you'd like on this hole, especially with his circle 2 bids so far this round. That one was better. It was possibly high enough, but not quite what you're looking for still.
And Aaron's going to ramp off the top.
Oh my.
This is force field, huh?
Yeah, not what you expect on your chase card. James most certainly going to go ahead and fix this basket right here, because 60% of the field took a birdie or better. There were a few eagles on this hole today. There we go, James. Get your birdie. But Aaron Gossage, Ty Love, and Jaden Rye able to card the 2.
We know it's out there. It's gonna entice some other folks to go for it. Carter able to nail his comebacker.
As expected, after James fixed the basket, all the putts go in. Drew's got a little tap in here, and we will move on to the 9th. A 645-foot par 4. Got a Mando on the left there and a Mando on the right there. If you land in this area, you're going to have an opportunity to throw your right-handed backhand hyzer up into this second pin that you will see here, up guarded by some extra guardian trees. Pretty difficult hole, I feel like, to get in a great position to get the birdie. But if you can get far enough, it's pretty attackable.
2 major plays for right-hand backhand players. You can try to run out to the left as James has. That should leave him a flat to hyzer. I guess there's 3 major plays as Alden Harris just won't stop throwing rollers. The alternative is try to throw something to, and I think he hit the one of the golf course notation signs.
Must put him about 30 feet short of the ball golf green up there.
I guess. Drew also goes with a late landing roller, runs out to the left, and I don't believe those OB stakes are in play for this hole. Those are only for hole 11.
Interesting note.
Rule of thumb is if it's not indicated on the T sign, it's not in play for the hole.
Although we did have James jump over a fence that was not on the tee sign yesterday.
That's true. That's a course boundary, not something added for the event. Drew Gibson going to watch this shot from his butt, and pretty successful. Gets himself into circle 1. Kind of a cluttered set of whiskers as the MPO and FPO baskets are almost contiguous, only about 50 feet apart.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see these players go off to the left side off of the tee, as it does really pinch off the angle to get into this green, or it makes you throw a straight shot rather than be able to throw a hyzer in.
James going to play a little bit of turnover. He wants that to flex back, and he'll be out in circle 2 for a James Proctor special potentially. Alden has gone far enough to be able to throw mid-range.
Wow. Fantastic.
And now he can throw anything he wants into the bottom of the basket.
He is one of just 8% of the field that parked this hole today. Very well done.
Gibson from a tough stance, can't find any metal. Proctor may be almost totally blocked out, but is able to convert from circle 2, keeps his round going.
Yeah, it's time for him to make one of those. He's been having bids from about 60 feet, so you know he gets inside. He's going to get that circle 2 going as Carter stretched out as far as he can, and very difficult to get your timing right and your speed and pace right. Stretched out like that, comes up just a bit short.
Yeah, but the way his round is going right now, he's kind of missing some opportunities here. Look to correct that on the back.
Yeah, and it seems like a lot of the card really is missing some opportunities here. James Proctor, however, shooting 4 down on that front 9, has moved himself up into a tie for 3rd at the moment.
And Adam Hammis and Robert Burridge, 6 down, putting down some good rounds thus far. Look to see some good action on the back. A lot more scoring opportunities, some big bombs, and potentially some views of some mountains.
Definitely so. Can't wait to see this back 9, see some more birdies, and call it for all of you. For Andrew Fish, I'm Nathan Queen, and we'll see you guys out there.